You
guys ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to Four Brewers. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I'm joined by
Jason Harris,
Greg Nagel,
and now Tim Mather.
Tim Mather.
I've moved up the ranks. I'm no longer the last guy in the Four Brewers thing.
I'm starting out.
Yeah, so we are here with Homebrewer Eric Hoffer. He hit us up. He sent us an email sometime last year. And I responded, but we kind of lost touch because I'm a forgetful person and there's a lot of things happening in my life. He hit us up again in March to see if we were still interested.
He sent us mailbag again. Sorry. Twice.
What have I done?
There we go.
We need to give Greg the soundboard.
Eric's now in the studio. So how you doing, Eric?
Doing good.
Good. How long you been homebrewing, man?
Like 3 years.
Yeah. What'd you start off? Did you start off doing all grain like right off the bat, or did you like do extract at first, like all of us, and kind of work your way into all grain?
Yeah, I started with extract. I'm super cheap, so someone told me, to do extract, all you need is a pot and some water, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool.
That's literally all you need. Yeah.
Yeah. So like my first 4 brews were all Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I've been in all grain for the last 2 years now, so
cool.
It's all grain now.
What is your system like? Like, what do you do?
I brew in a bag.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this seems to be like the popular trend right now to do all grain in a bag. Mm-hmm. Just because,
super
again,
easy.
since you said you're super cheap, it's like the cheapest way to do it. You don't have to have multiple vessels or pumps or anything like that.
I mean, if all your beers are like 5.5% or less alcohol, like brewing a bag is the way to go.
Yeah.
Less to clean, use less water.
If you're shooting for a 12%,
less time,
like Riz, you might have some issues there. But
oh no, that's impossible.
even on like a
unless you have a
5-gallon setup, like with a cooler, you might have issues. So
Yeah, from experience, if you want to brew anything over like 8%, you need to make like 2 gallons of it.
yeah.
Or you need like a gantry crane in your driveway.
Yeah, exactly.
just got
That's what that's
you got a fucking engine hoist out there.
Yeah.
You're winching it,
Or you're gonna get
a
like
pulley system.
like 12% efficiency.
Well, that's like Brad Daniels. He has a winch in his homebrew.
Yeah,
like,
with the
in
tippy
his,
dump.
like little brewery there. Yeah, he literally has a winch in his brewery.
Was that dude in BYO magazine about that?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember reading that article and I'm like, dude, you're doing it wrong. Like, just get 3 pots.
That's how he
You're
does it,
brewing
man.
like 50 gallons of beer, bro.
He has a pretty small space, so he
So
doesn't have
his brewery is like 4 feet round.
Is it as big as this room? Like his
No,
whole
it's
like,
just that one
space?
part. Yeah,
like
the rest of it's a bar.
Yeah, but I'm talking the whole space. It's pretty small. We're getting off topic here.
Yeah.
But so what'd you bring for us?
This first beer
we got
is
beer in front of us right now.
Yeah, this first beer is a cream ale.
Perfect.
I was going to say it smells like a cream ale.
I keep handing these out to friends and like, oh, it's a cream ale, and they go, ooh, cream, like, wow, great. I'm like, no, it's just a.
I had the opposite experience the other day. I got a beer. I was at a bar in Riverside, and everything was hazy. And I was like, "Do you have fucking something that's not?" And I was like, "Oh, they have the Sublime Lager." We just ran out of that. I was like, "Shit, man! I just want something clear." And so I ordered a cream ale from a brewery that I normally know to make like hazy IPA. And it was a creamsicle ale. It was vanilla and orange.
You're like,
got
fucking
burned.
cream ale. I got roasted.
fucking Wilford Brimley's over there on the side, like, diabetes.
Yeah, man.
It comes out with a popsicle stick in it.
Well, for what it was, how was it? Like, was it good?
Yeah, it's pretty all right. Too sweet. I didn't want sweet. I wanted crisp.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a cream ale is basically like an ale version of a really basic lager.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you
it's
could
like
say.
it's like the ale version of Budweiser.
Yeah, it's lower alcohol, really basic malt profile, hop profile. You're not going to go too big with anything in this beer.
Yep. Yeah, this is Pilsner, Sots, and I used lager yeast. I didn't use the ale yeast. I went to go buy like the cream ale blend. Mm-hmm. They didn't have it. So I was like, hell, we'll just use some 3470.
So you use lager yeast. Like, did you just ferment at ale temperatures then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like 74.
Okay.
So
I've
had great success with dry lager yeast at ale temperature. Like, it turns out totally fine.
Huh.
Yeah.
I've never thought to do that. I don't know why.
Dude, Saccharomyces, what is it? Pastorianus
Yeah.
is instead of the
Is anus is really in there?
Pastorianus.
Because it's Greg saying this, so I don't know.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Pastorianus. That's how I remember the mnemonic of is a pastor's anus.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Everybody else in the world says
course you do.
Pastorianus.
Pastorianus.
Yeah.
But
But Pastorianus is
I had this
close.
argument with my kid about schools teach kids Uranus. She's like, yeah, it's Uranus. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it's Uranus.
It's Uranus, Greg.
How's
And
Uranus?
she was like, no, you're wrong.
I'm not happy
And she was
hearing
like
that.
stormed out of the room. I was like, well, fine. So I looked up on YouTube some, people who study planets. Like, well, technically it's Uranus, but
You're being like the
you could
classic
say
like
either
Twitter
way.
responder. Like, actually, it's Uranus, and your daughter's like, "Fuck you, science. I'm out."
Whatever. But this
She
beer,
shut you down, which she should have done. And
This beer is
I'm
not
proud of her
anus
for that.
This beer is not anus at all. It's very right in the wheelhouse of what a good like. I thought before you said it was a cream ale, I was like, that smells like a good cream ale.
Good.
Nice and sort of crisp and clean. It's got a nice sort of. I don't get too much sauce on the nose. It's kind of like what a good cream ale should be. Like easy drinking. Smells kind of grainy, but the flavor is what's I really love about it. Is it's got a nice brightness to it.
Yep.
It's not like a flabby sort of like, homebrew. This is like Taps level quality cream ale, which is like high regard.
Yeah. This has a really nice crackery biscuit nose. The malt profile, as basic as it is, comes through very well, I think. Like this, I would totally buy this, dude. Like
What do you do? What do you
Get
do?
out
For,
of here, you
this is very
crackery biscuit
clean.
nose.
Like this is great.
what do you do for a water profile on this thing?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for the compliments, by the way. I was on the way here shaking, like, fuck, they're going to hate these
hate
beers. Like, I'm driving all the way out here from Orange County, and they're going to hate these beers.
To get your ass
And
kicked.
Yeah,
You got to drive all the way home.
yeah, and I've been telling friends, too, like, oh, I'm going to be on this podcast. And they're like, oh, that's great. Tell me when it comes out. I'm like, well, if they like the beer, I'll let you know.
Just gonna go like full Christian Bale rant. It's gonna be like
But yeah, the water profile, I use Beersmith. So I start with distilled for, like, every recipe except for, like, Brea water is pretty close to Munich. So if I'm making like a Munich Dunkel or a Dunkelweizen,
You don't touch it.
I'll just use tap and dechlorinate it. But I have an RO system in my house. So
Dang.
yeah, I just do the start with distill. It's RO. It's close enough to distilled.
Right. It's pretty
I've
much
often
then,
heard Brea referred to as the Munich of Southern California.
It pretty much is.
Yeah, but
Anaheim water's
What's
the
a
same.
Munich water profile? Is it hard water?
yeah, it's
It's
pretty hard.
very
Yeah.
hard. We really high bicarbonate, really good stout water, really good dark.
right.
And you put any hops in your beer, it's going to turn to like, like it's going to just make your IPA just super gross. And
It's
acrid.
really, really low sulfate too. So yeah, the hops just die. But yeah, I use water profiles out of Beersmith for whatever color I'm going for.
Yeah, I downloaded Palmer's spreadsheet that he made a while back, and I did a lot of customizing to it to fit what I wanted to do. Because for a long time, I did like 50-50. I did 50% tap water and 50% RO
Right.
from like Stater Brothers or whatever. And it worked well for a while, but it was just too complicated, like figuring out the mineral additions and everything. And when I do finally get back to home brewing, I think I'm either going to just stick with all groundwater or just all RO and not put too much effort. Because my water here is pretty neutral. It's really good water. It's not too hard. It's not, as far as like the mineral balance between the sulfates and, chloride and all that, it's all pretty much equal. So
Right.
I would just have to build on top of that. So
Didn't you do a beer with gathered rainwater once?
I did. It was only 2 gallons though. That's all I could get. I had like a 15-gallon kettle and I just put it out in the backyard.
For an entire winter.
Well, that's like 4 years of rain right there.
We had like a solid week of rain, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm going to do this." And
I filtered out the mosquitoes and then
mosquito larvae.
there was some stuff in that water, definitely. But you're going to boil it, so it'll be fine. But I mean, it didn't turn out to be anything special. It was.
I like you
was a hype beer.
naturally fermented water. I just left it out for a while, and
But it still
It's like a
managed up to
water-
be cloudy.
It's like a water
Mosquito
cool
IPA.
ship.
What's up?
It's a water cool ship. Oh.
Yeah.
all aboard
Sorry.
the cool ship.
I boiled
I
the
missed-
water. Like I didn't. What are you talking about?
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I lost track.
I don't know.
Is a rain bucket just a water cool ship?
I
Homebrewer
guess. Greg, Nagel thoughts.
Nagel
That's Nagel
thoughts.
thoughts. Yeah,
I'm with you, Nagel. I get it.
All right.
I don't get it. I think
cool
me and
shit.
Tim don't get it.
I mean,
We're the smarter people here.
Cool ship.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm gonna probably lag behind on a lot of the homebrew terms. I got to
Do you know
catch
what a cool
up.
ship is, Tim?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I think I should.
Oh, cool shit.
That explains a lot.
That's why I'm so lost here.
A
It's
cool ship
basically-
it's a big fermentation, open air fermentation vessel.
It's like a big long box that's
Okay.
usually like 2 feet tall and like really wide.
Okay.
And you put your hot wort in there and then
Let
let
it naturally cool.
cool down in there. And
Usually on
then
a winter night.
the bugs get in there.
Yeah.
and-
Okay. Yeah.
it
Just
does
like
ferment
traditional,
naturally.
traditional brewing or fermenting. Yeah.
No, because like open fermenters are different from cool ships. Like, with a cool ship, you want to get that bacteria in the wort. Where with an open air fermenter, like they do their best to kind of keep the room clean, but still allow them to keep the
It's a
fermenter
positive
open.
pressure room usually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like at Beechwood Barbecue, they built a cool ship. There's one in the chat right there that Kyle just posted.
Oh.
I posted it.
They actually went inside of their barrel room and painted the walls with like beer with bacteria in it. Like they
Okay.
took like a mop to
Spray
the
bottle
walls.
to like from some goose and they just
Yeah. So they wanted to intentionally infect the area where that cool ship was going
Yeah.
to be fermenting.
Okay.
beer.
That makes natural. The natural infection. I get it.
Yeah. So
I follow at least that much.
well, I'm just
I-
saying there's a difference between open air and
Sure.
cool ship fermentation.
Thank
So-
you.
Is that Jester King?
Today Tim learned.
The second one is Jester King. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in Allagash.
So what's this next beer you
Yeah.
poured, Eric?
What do we move on?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt.
This one looks well
Yeah,
carbonated.
it's a green
Yeah.
bottle, which is perplexing.
Martinelli's.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
The Martinelli's.
But
Epic.
what's the kind of beer?
Nice.
Yeah, it's a like a German Pils base that I added some dry hops to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a couple ounces of Mandarina Bavaria.
Poured with a big white fluffy head. It's kind of settled out. It's been sitting on the table for a minute. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, this is
Super
like
nice.
super, super light in color.
Well, you keep getting like the end of the bottle, so every beer you
okay.
get is going to be a hazy IPA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But,
well, I'm not. Yeah, your pour looks
it's
great.
got a very citrusy note on the nose.
Yeah, that's pretty
Um,
clear.
Bro. It's good shit, man.
I was waiting like, bro, fucking gross.
when homebrew
Greg.
tastes like professionally made brew, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah,
There's
so
no. It seems like maybe the aroma has kind of faded a little bit,
yeah, definitely this beer.
but like the flavor is like so nice and hoppy.
Yeah, this beer,
So clean.
it's like almost 4 months old. So it was definitely, it had much better aroma on it. Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks in the bottle.
I
But
still think it smells pretty fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
it
still
the
smells
aroma
great.
sticks out to me a lot.
Yeah, I get like a nice, subtly fruit kind of aroma, a little bit of floral. Again, the malt profile
I get
really
a big
comes through
fruit
too.
juice character on the nose, like like again, like a orange juice kind of.
It's got a bite
aroma.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get some apple flowers on it.
yeah, I didn't skip on the bittering hop. So it's still got sots in there, like the way you would do a typical German Pils. But I don't know. But
So was this fermented at like lager temperatures or again
Hell
at ale
no.
temperatures?
ale temperatures all
Really?
the time. Every single time.
That's interesting.
Yeah, every
what I'm
lager
saying.
I do is at 74.
This is pretty dry and like pretty clean and still has like a slight ester profile to it, which I guess is from the warmer fermentation temperatures.
What's the exact strain and maker of the yeast?
This is W3470, which is the Weinstefan strain.
Weinstefan, baby.
Yeah.
Classic.
You would
74
think you'd
degrees.
get like sulfury character from fermenting it hot.
When this fermented, yeah,
Was it
my
farts?
my room smelled terrible.
Really,
Yeah, because my bedroom's the coldest room in the house, so you know it
Does it
stays like
always
a
smell
nice
like farts?
72 to
Smells
74.
smells like the Bud facility at Van Nuys.
Yeah.
Have you ever been by there when they're
Yeah.
burning the fermentation? Oh my god, the whole like smells like farts.
So that sulfur, like to combat that, that's usually why you would lager, right? To kind of like get rid of all of that happening.
So
in
how do you
primary.
solve that? Just
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, just lie to your friends and say it's supposed to be there.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I know some people can
truth comes
transfer through copper, and that's a good way to solve the sulfur thing.
Yeah, I'm not about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very very cheap.
So that being said, how long did this sit in primary for then?
10 days, 12 days,
That's
something
it?
like that. Yeah.
I just fixed. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it sat in primary, and then I bottle conditioned everything. So this has been in the bottle like I said, like almost 4 months.
Yeah,
So
this has
amazing.
0 sulfur on it. Like it's.
I don't get any. Yeah, normally you detect sulfur right when you pour it, and then it kind of blows off. But
Yeah.
that's the first thing I smelled.
Technically, you
was a
acclimate to it,
clean
but-
beer.
Yeah. Oh, and 3 days with dry hops on it. So I guess you can call that secondary. But
So-
I kept it in the primary.
Like you're
so.
making homebrew sound easy at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah,
You're
he's like,
"Ah,
yeah, just put it in a bucket, and like
No, but seriously,
10 minutes later, and
when I first got into homebrew, a friend of mine at work was like, "Here's some beer I made," and I thought that was magical, and I was like, "That sounds super complicated." Then I saw an episode of Good Eats with Alton Brown where he made beer, and I'm like, "All right, I'm trying this."
Demystified it for you.
And like everything I read online, it's like, "Oh my gosh, how many pots do I need? Like, how many cubic feet of copper do I need?" Like, it sounded super complicated,
Right.
But like we were talking during the break over pizza, like all these beers are influenced by brewlosophy experiments,
Right.
and I'm constantly blown away by the experiments they do where it's like, we tested the way homebrewers like always do it or the way they say you have to do it. And then we did this other thing that's like cheap.
Yeah,
Short and
Brewlosophy,
shoddy.
it's like a brewing blog that's been around for quite a while now. And they, what's really interesting about their website is that they do a lot of like testing, like you said, where it's like, here's the myth. We're gonna do what they say not to do and compare it to the right way to do it and see what happens.
Yeah, triangle testing.
Yeah. And it's really popular just because it's it's hard work to do those tests.
Yeah, one of the things that demystified for me on that show was when they're like, yeah, here's a beer that, they always say like, get it off the yeast cake as fast as possible.
Right.
And they're like, so we let a beer sit on a yeast cake for 3 months and then we brewed a beer 2 months after that and then compared the two and nobody could tell the difference between them.
Yeah.
They're like, it's the same fucking beer. I'm like, so you don't have to rack it off the yeast cake right away? That's kind of dope.
Yeah, demystifying a lot of the like old wisdom, in air quotes wisdom that guys have.
The joy of homebrewing.
Yeah.
But back in the 70s when they wrote those books, or obviously you'd want to, use those best practices to at least be consistent. I think.
Sure, whatever. I don't like. I know there's a reason behind all these things homebrewers do, but I don't know if they're not necessary. I don't want to bother with
I think you kind of touched on something that is problematic in homebrewing, and I think really every hobby is that people think that there is like some piece of gear that they're going to buy that's going to magically make everything better.
Oh, yeah. Homebrewing is perfectly suited for gearheads.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
You can just overthink it to death.
It's just like being a guitarist where you're like, you know what, if I had that new amp, then I would be, I could practice more, or I could buy this new effects box.
But the thing
I've been there with guitars too, where it's like, if I just had the right tone, I think I could feel like playing better, like with the right tone coming out. It's like, no, you just need to practice more, dude.
So if you talk to a lot of homebrewers come in like three flavors. There's like the engineering types, which are like 90% of homebrewers are like, dudes, I'm a programmer, analyst at whatever corporation.
Yeah.
I just thought homebrewing would be cool. And then there's like the college kids who think it's going to like save them like $20 or something making their own beer. And then there's like the hick dudes who are like, I just brew 10% IPAs just to get drunk. And that's about it.
Yeah.
As probably the most amateur home brewer, like I can vouch for it being very easy. I have one pot, I have a 1 gallon jug that I ferment in. It's all part of a kit, and I usually, if I'm doing it, to be honest, like I'll buy a kit or I'll pick up the supplies that
Kits
are
are
listed
fine.
listed at the homebrew store from when they're like preset recipes, and I'll just mess with it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the hardest part for me is like, okay, where do I put the thing to let it ferment? Like that's and I had a 5 gallon kit for a while, but I downsized to just doing 1 gallon because I had 5 gallons was just too much for me to have in an apartment.
Well, and then to get through, like, you and your wife probably both drink beer, but like still for 2 people, 5 gallons is a lot.
That'll take you like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going down like literally like a pot, a mesh bag, a 1 gallon jug, and the bubbler, and that's what I have.
Yeah.
And then I have some things left over from the kit that you recommended to me, John, a long time ago, like the beer thief and the gravity thing and this and that. I'm totally
The gravity thing.
Yeah,
I know what you mean, dude. Yeah.
I'm gonna sound ridiculous, but it's super. Like it is ultimately very easy to just pick up and do.
But you can overcomplicate.
Oh yeah,
because I think
John.
the trap that a lot of brewers, including myself, got into was like, well, this is how the pros do it, so I have to mimic that because that's the right way to make beer.
Oh yeah.
And it's not.
7,000 years ago in Egypt, some dude made beer by accident.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. And to be fair, if I made this at scale, it'd probably be bad. I probably couldn't ferment, 30 barrels of this at 74 or whatever. That'd be a bad idea. But
so we just poured.
What did we
poured a
move
new
on to?
thing. Yeah. What did you pour here?
Yeah, this is a Belgian pale ale.
All right.
Nothing super fancy. It just I like Belgian beer, and I wanted to have a Belgian on on hand.
The Belgians smell Like,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
That was, and
No,
admittedly,
this was an amber. It got infected. Now I'm calling it Belgian pale. No,
nice.
it's really a Belgian pale.
I mean, admittedly, like I for the longest time had a negative reaction to that like Belgian smell. I just couldn't get into it. I recently started like working on it. So now that I'm smelling, I'm like, okay, I know it, and I'm going to put aside all those old thoughts of not liking Belgians.
That's how I was with guava in like all of these new hazies. Like, like I always say, guava smells like farts to me, and
you said that several times last time I was on the show.
Yeah, it's an aroma that I'm forcing myself to get used to because it's not a bad thing. I'm just not like reading it properly, and now I like it. It's
Did you
fine.
see that article where that guy was suing his employer for bullying him with farts?
Really?
No.
Yeah, like he worked for like a construction company, and he had like a small windowless office, and like his coworkers kept coming into his office and just like crop dusting him super hard. And I guess they did this like all the time for like
So
years.
good.
And
We
so-
do that all the time at my work.
And I was just like, is this Greg? Because Greg's always complaining about his coworkers, and I just imagine there's some guy that just comes and rips ass right next to your desk every day.
So he was suing for bullying.
Yeah, he was saying that.
See,
This is like
there's a line.
cheesy dong.
So this very, very effervescent to me, like a lot of fizz. It's very good.
Yeah.
Tongue tingling.
But yeah, it's got that very, I would say, clovey sort of Belgian-esque.
Yeah, this one's not my favorite, so don't be afraid to say you hate it.
I
no.
might say the carbonation's a little high. I like, because there's usually a little bit of a sweet bite to a Belgian pale, and the sweetness doesn't really get to linger as much because the high carb kind of washes it away.
What's the ABV?
I don't know. I think it's like
You don't have the gravity measuring thingy.
I do have the gravity measuring thing.
No.
I left my laptop at home, so
That has
I
an
keep all this stuff on
important secondary
there, so-
function, which is leaving small shards of glass and metal in the bottom of your fermenter.
It
Yeah.
helps with the mouthfeel.
Yeah, when you're done fermenting out your sour beer and you drop it in and it just slams at the bottom of your fermenter and like breaks into a billion pieces.
Shatters. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of little metal balls in there.
Yeah,
There's
I
not
think
now.
and some red dye.
I think the higher carbonation with this beer in particular is a good thing because I feel like it's a little under fermented, where it has more body and sweetness than. Well, I should say if it was less carbonation, I think it would be detrimental to the beer because it's a pretty, it's a thick beer. You know, that's what I'm getting from
It's
it.
kind of bready,
Yeah, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like,
baking spice bready.
But I mean,
I think the carbonation's fine
to
for
me, that
this
register is
particular
appropriate for the style,
Yeah,
though.
sure.
I mean, I don't have Belgian pales all that often, but I feel like it's generally going to be a bit sweeter than an American.
yeah.
for
Was there any rye in this
interpretation.
grist?
No rye. There's some wheat malt.
Okay.
He's over here like, you seen how much rye costs? you got rye money for this bitch?
No, it's gosh, I know there's Pilsner and wheat malt, and there's some sort of caramel malt in there too, like caramel 60, I think, but
Okay.
not very much, just a little for color.
Sweet.
But yeah, to your original question, I think it's like 4.5%.
Yeah, it drinks around 5-ish.
So, do you do any temperature controlled fermentations, or is it just let it go where it goes?
So when it's super hot in my house and I can't keep the rest of my house under like 78, I'll fill my bathtub with water. To like.
That's how I do
It's a
it.
podcast, so let me hand gesture how much water.
So, like a foot of water.
Yeah, to like pretty close to whatever the water level or whatever the fluid level is in the fermenter.
Right.
And I'll just set the fermenter in that.
How many leagues would you say that is?
about 20,000. Yeah, it's about 20,000.
So you care enough to
Well,
control
look,
the temperature when it gets really hot, which is fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
It keeps a good balance. I do that same thing, and then I'll take Tupperware and fill it with water, put it in the freezer, and then I can take these huge chunks and just kind of dunk.
Yeah.
We're inland
gets
out
too
here,
hot.
so like 6 months out of the year, it's 110
Yeah.
degrees. So
Yeah, you're just getting to pitching temp out here is probably like you have to chill
it's actually
your beer.
really hard through a lot of the summer because your
Yeah.
groundwater is coming
like
out
82.
so fucking warm.
Yeah,
And
I have
so
the same problem.
You can't cool a beer with it. It takes like an hour to fucking
Well,
chill a beer.
getting back to what I said about Gearheads, that's why my next purchase is going to be a glycol chiller from SS Brewtech,
Fuck
which is
yeah.
a cool 1K.
buddy.
See, I'm just gonna come help John brew.
Yeah, pretty
because
much.
John's like really careful and like cleans and stuff.
By help, me brew, you mean come over and hang out with me and drink beer and
Yeah, pretty
have
much.
fun.
More like
mock
heckle
you.
you.
Yeah.
Heckle, yeah.
Heckle you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Backseat brewing.
and I'll be
There's
like,
no helping with
I'll
homebrew.
record like a documentary style thing.
No, so you need
you'd
a
be like,
time lapse
Can you
and-
can you hand me that thief? Here you go.
new secondary
bro.
show
Lick it
is going to be
before you give it to him.
Jason Backseat Brewing. He's just going to have a mic on the
Backseat
couch,
brewing.
listen, like shouting
You're
at
doing
John.
that wrong. You're doing that wrong.
Yeah,
Philosophy
exactly.
says don't do it that way. You're doing it wrong, John.
Hey, put more hops. Is that all the hops?
Yeah.
Put more.
The chilling thing though is like the single biggest issue I have with homebrewing is, in September, I can get my wort to like 90.
Yeah.
That's about as low as it goes.
Yeah,
I was
same.
I was
Start-
fermenting in I still have a drop-in freezer that was on a temperature controlled thing, that can give like more beer. And what I would do is get it down low enough to get it into there, so it'd be going in at like 80, and then I just have the freezer on the whole time I was transferring.
Yeah.
And I'd let it sit there for an hour, and it'd get down to like 75-ish, and then I'd pitch. It's still high, but I'm gonna let it keep going.
Yeah.
And by the time it cools down to where it needs to be, the yeast is already kind of doing its thing, and
Yeah.
we're all good. So.
And I've been reading the packages. A lot of yeast packages, they actually suggest you pitch higher than where you intend to ferment.
yeah,
So they'll say like pitch at 74, but ferment it at 64.
yeah, it kind of gets everything
I
going.
was doing that anyways.
Yeah.
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 So
Win-win.
the people who make the yeast probably know something about yeast, right?
I would
I
assume
don't
so.
know. I've heard a lot about white labs. It makes me question.
they just throw the diastaticus in because they're nice.
It seems like they just don't know how to count cells at White Labs. That's all.
Didn't they,
According to Matt, anyway.
It's a crapshoot.
didn't they get sued for sending a bunch of infected shit to
Yeah.
like Ska Brewing?
Whatever happened
Yeah.
with that? No, was it Ska?
Probably settled out of court or something.
Yeah. Oh well.
Who knows?
Well, that was good beer, man.
Thank you.
So
Four
far,
for
you're
four,
3 for
right?
3.
4
All
for
right.
4, 3 for 3. What are we at?
3.
Oh, okay.
This is the fourth one here coming around. This is a wild sour ale I made.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to this.
I'm waiting for your first failure, and I have
Yeah.
hope that this will
Yeah.
be it.
All right, it probably will be because you know what I actually cultivated this yeast off of some blueberries on my fridge.
If this
that's
is
sweet.
good, if this is good, and you
right.
did it that way, dude,
Next level.
I'm just gonna stop.
So I mean, it's not this is not a commercial grade sour beer. Like I'm gonna tell you right now,
Well, that's what I'm
like
expecting.
It, it's fun,
So
but
Ooh, funky.
yeah,
Funky.
yeah.
Trying
was-
to get what the nose smells.
Oh, I'll tell you later because I've had multiple people go, I'm trying to get what that is, and then I tell them after they drink it, and they're like, oh yeah, that's what I don't want to tell you before you drink it though.
It's a left-hand sued White Labs, but
left
I
hand.
forgot
That's right.
contamination.
that's what it was.
But yeah, I got the idea. There's a guy on YouTube. His channel is called Sui Generis. He's got a blog too. But watched a bunch of videos of his on how to create your own yeast lab.
I
And
feel like a little appley. I don't know.
Yeah.
so I
Apple's a
got
good
the
call.
idea of like just cultivating my own wild yeast strain. This was the only one that turned out to like not try to kill me. All the other ones, I was like,
the nose.
Apple's a really good call.
The
too.
nose is like a green apple, kind of champagne-y.
Ooh, I like it. I like that.
okay.
Yeah, this is definitely green apple. That's because I was searching for that aroma.
It has a little like I want to say like white wine sort of feel to me.
Yeah,
Very citrus, little sour. I felt a little pucker. I'm a fan of like things that make my cheeks just grr.
this
Yeah.
one registers at the top of my palate really
Yeah.
really heavy, like it sits there and lingers.
Well, Tim, I'm glad you like it. I've got 4 more gallons at home, so
Yeah.
just come pick it up.
Nice.
But no, the one thing I picked up, like when this beer was in the bottle for like a month, I tried it and I got just straight vomit. All I could taste was vomit.
Butyric? I don't get any
Yeah.
butyric on it.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's I
No,
think I
no.
still it tastes like
taking
the
on,
way
like-
vomit tastes in your mouth after you throw up.
Really? No, I don't
Why
get
are
that at
you
all.
why are you saying this? Just
Because
let
it
it just
didn't turn out the way I wanted it to.
That's fair.
And if if you guys are like, oh, I don't want to hurt his
I'm
feelings.
getting a
I
little
see, I
bit
see
of-
what
don't
you're
like this
saying.
beer.
That
I'm getting a little bit of like a pickly acid. So maybe like a bit of a vinegary character on
Yeah.
the finish.
It's
Which,
definitely weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think the whole vomit thing you were talking about is I
It's
get
the
it,
acidic
like
character.
how it feels after you vomit. So you still have that like acid burning in the back of your throat. Your mouth, you know that there's an unpleasant taste in your mouth. Yeah, although this does taste pretty
Yeah.
good. But I get that feeling.
it gives you that burn on the back of your palate that you get when you threw up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if
So-
you're, I mean, I wouldn't call it butyric. I don't get butyric from it at all.
All right.
I mean, I get Now that you mention that, like,
Yeah.
I get like the feeling.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah.
I think whatever
It's
is
not cheesy.
generating the acidic note in the beer is probably not something that you're traditionally getting in sour beer. The flavor isn't super off, but I think the way it registers with how you taste it, it hits in an odd spot a little bit, right? Like, so again, it's kind of activating parts of your palate that you don't normally get from a sour beer.
Yeah, for sure. It's very forward sour.
If I make this one again, I'm contemplating. I didn't add any hops to this at all, so I'm thinking maybe some IBUs would inhibit whatever else is in there that is doing things I don't really like. But
I don't
Was that
think
your first
you want
sour
to
beer?
shoot for IBUs in this beer. I think this
well, like
is
I'm thinking like 5, right? Because that's enough to inhibit some lactobacillus bacteria.
right, and
But,
that's why breweries tend to use like old hops, just
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to get any kind of character from it. They just use it for the
The betas.
But honestly, dude, like for a yeast that, or for a wild yeast that you cultivated
Yeah.
and made it, like it's not bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, when I propagated it, it straight up smelled like blueberries, and I was like,
awesome.
"This is perfect. I made it. I'm gonna make a bajillion gallons of this, and I'm gonna be rich because it smells like freaking blueberries, and it's just yeast. But now it doesn't smell like
I
blueberries.
got a blueberry for a daughter.
Classic.
But Greg, you asked me if this is my first sour beer.
Yeah.
No, I've brewed like 20 other sour
Oh,
beers.
cool.
But it's mostly like probiotics with Safel USO5.
I gotcha.
But yeah, so a lot of Berliner Weiss.
Just throw
and
Activia
Goza.
in there. Just
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, it's lactobacillus. Like,
I've brewed
does the
one
same
sour and it was like a really bad Flemish red. It was bad.
Did
on.
it give you the phlegm?
there are good Flemish reds.
Oh,
I haven't-
There are, and mine wasn't one of them. Yeah.
It was PHLEGM.
it's not great, honestly.
Red
Like
Flemish.
Flemish red, if you think of the style, you're like, yeah.
So this next beer is Doppelbock.
yes.
Yeah, baby. Give me some
yeah.
Doppel.
I brewed it on the same day I did the Pilsner. I usually do 10 gallons in a brew day. I just do split batches because I figure I got all my stuff out. I got it sanitized anyways.
May as well. Yeah.
I've got multiple, plastic buckets to ferment in, so, why not? But yeah, I
Nice
just wanted
color
to,
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to do something different.
We just did a Doppelbock on the blind one I did a couple shows ago, right? The
I believe so.
was
What
it the Optimator?
Optimator. Yeah.
The one with the goat.
That was the one I
Believe so.
called.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, I believe this is a Doppelbock, and it's from Germany.
I remember it. I remember it with,
Optimator?
you went into your full homeland accent, though. You're just like, it is the finest Doppelbock I've ever had, and of course, it could be none other than the Optimator.
Optimator. Is this Franziskaner or
Now we only have
Spaten?
now we only have third greatest beer.
So this smells a little farty to me. If I'm
Does
being
it?
honest.
Oh,
I'm glad that you were like,
Maybe
let
you
me
get
get
the-
the beer I hated out of the way, and
don't
now
get
you're like,
fartiness on mine.
nah, I hate this one too.
Yeah,
Let's,
okay, I'm not trying to be mean.
No, don't.
'Cause so
don't
far,
worry,
your
dude.
beers are pretty
I got
awesome.
a little farty SoundCloud and check out his newer Slack.
How do you not have a "this is a little farty" sound? clip
I know.
over
I was
there?
looking for it. No, there's
write
no
it
farting.
write it down, dude.
It's a little farty.
This smells like farty bathroom stall to me.
Yeah,
Really?
I think you're right.
Right?
My pour
Do you
doesn't
spend a
smell
lot
like
of
that at
time
all.
in bathroom stalls?
Well, I just know what
Yes.
a dirty
Don't you?
bathroom smells like.
No, it's interesting.
What if I do, Tim?
Huffing farty smells.
What's wrong with that? I like to hang out in dirty bathrooms.
Then I just get a little caramel toffee on the nose. What I'm looking for in a Doppelbock, honestly, is just like baked bread. And I definitely get that in the background, like Munich malt.
Yep, it's 50% Munich, 50% Vienna.
Yeah, I mean, super traditional. Those malts just give off super toasty vibes, and I definitely pull that out of here. What's the alcohol? Do you know?
This one's 8. It's at 7.9, 8.
It's middle of the road for Doppel.
It's got a pretty middle of the road mouthfeel. Carbonation's pretty decent.
I would not guess the alcohol is 8.
Yeah.
No.
The booze isn't coming through heavy.
Not
Do you
at all.
name your homebrews?
I do.
Do you put them on Untapped?
Are they? Super
You know what I
risque?
did for a little while? Yeah, I started to, and then I just kind of ran out of steam.
There go my unique check-ins.
Yeah, no, there are a few up there. Actually, none of the
ones
I
you
have
brought today, of
Just
course.
just
What's
check into
this-
the old ones I finished like
What's
a year
this
ago.
Doppelbock called?
A Doppelpain in my mash.
Doppelpain. Okay.
Because like we were talking about with brew in a bag. Yeah, this was a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah, 8%.
Yeah, because I had like 16 pounds of grain.
Yeah.
and yeah, my bag comfortably holds like 10. So yeah, it was a lot of work and I was making it the same day I was making that Pilsner, so I had all this grain on hand. I had my bag, and I had like it was a mess.
Stuff in that bag.
It was a mess.
Yeah,
Stuff in that
but
bag.
yeah.
Yeah, the farty bathroom smell.
Dude, smell fine. There's no farty.
I don't get any farty, but
No, or bathroom.
Okay, you've interrupted. Like, it's burning off, quote unquote, as Greg would say.
Yeah, it does.
When you lit a match, or
I'm acclimated to it, so yeah.
Are you Steve-O in the helmet from Jackass, the fart helmet?
I was for a minute, but no, it's it's I'm not getting it as much anymore on the aroma, and it's pretty good.
It's so good. For me, I get like this tea-like character, like a English breakfast tea character to it. Maybe that's coming from the
Kyle.
hop. Yeah. Your beer's and you should feel bad.
Dude's skimming my fucking Facebook page looking for.
He's insta-memeing you like on the
That's
fly.
that's what Kyle does.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's like the third quality one to come over too. It was just the only one I couldn't control my laughing.
That's a good beer, man. You have
need a
extra bottles. I'll take one.
They
Again.
have a fart ones. They need a fart ones.
Fart ones.
Yeah. Aside from the aroma, though, I mean, it's still a great beer. I'd be proud of this beer if I brewed it. Aside from the farty bathroom smell,
I'd be proud of this beer if I wasn't as shitty as you.
I've never brewed a double.
It seemed
bock.
very like it was solid. I liked the flavor. It seemed very smooth and mellow. Like your comment, Jason, about the alcohol, not knowing the alcohol or not feeling the alcohol in there. Yeah, like it was very, very drinkable.
I mean, I could live off of that during Lent for
getting notes of
40 days.
Werther's Originals. I wish I could live off of beer, but I got to go to work.
Oh god.
So this next one here is a milk stout. It does have lactose in it, so anyone
Got a cool bubble on it.
Yeah, you know what?
Bubble. Wow, bubble whales.
On the way over here, I was thinking about that whole thing about Garrett Oliver's like bubble size thing you guys talk about.
Yeah.
Fucking
And I was
Garrett.
thinking to myself, like, yeah, homebrew, dude, like you pour like the first bottle of a batch, and it looks like it's got soap in it.
Yep.
Like the bubbles are weird, and then the beer gets a little age on it, and then the bubbles look normal. But so I was just wondering if the bubbles were going to look good on all my beers, or if you guys would accuse
there's
me
big
of
ones, there's small ones, there's medium ones.
just buying old commercial
There's-
beer and taking the labels off and bringing that in.
It's got a nice.
You didn't
bubbles.
buy these bubbles
It has-
Is
commercially.
that what you're doing? Are you trolling us right now?
You clearly. I just gave him a fucking left hand stout. They're like, yeah, it's great.
it's got it's got good retention. The head's hanging on there.
like
Yeah.
mine looks really nice.
Yeah, it does. You got
These are clearly like not bubbles from like forced carbonation, but
Yeah,
nice.
bottle conditioning.
I
The
mean,
bubbles, no.
if you look at my beer, that's what Garrett Oliver said it should look like, right?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
It
You
looks
got
very
different size
smooth.
bubbles. It's creamy looking.
Next time I brew this beer, I'll put the Garrett Oliver stamp of approval on it.
Yeah,
Like,
you-
it's got legit
exactly.
bubbles,
it's
guys.
just a little outline of a hat.
Yeah.
The
The little straw hat.
the aroma is very toasty.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
a
my
big, I'm
God,
a big
this
fan
smells
of
good.
anything that has like a good coffee toasty.
It smells
smell.
like Whoppers, like you split
Oh,
open
really?
a Whopper.
I'm not really
Oh,
getting
yeah, malt balls.
Oh, that's a good call, Jason. Yeah, Whoppers,
Huh.
malted like
Malted
chocolate.
malted milk balls.
Yeah.
those are amazing. By the way.
This is actually my last bottle of it too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the roast on it, it's not just like sweet chocolate. It's got like a nice roastiness to back up the nose too.
Oh, it's
I think
very
it's
carby.
perfect on the nose. Actually, it's not too overwhelming.
And I think your use of lactose in here is super subdued. It's not like it's
Yeah.
not like overbearing. Like if you wouldn't have said that, I probably wouldn't have even guessed. You know, it could maybe use more.
I would go with a little bit less carbonation.
It's
on
I was
this.
gonna say
Yeah,
it's pretty
I-
carbonated.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's like my blind spot is bottling. Just because
Yeah.
I look at the fermenter and I'm like, yeah, I think I've got like 4 3/4 of beer there. So I pitch the sugar into the bottling keg and then I rack it over and I'm like, oh no, there was a lot more trub in there than I expected.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Which dark malts you used on this?
there's going to be some chocolate malt, some roasted barley,
Okay,
some
the roasted
caramel.
barley, I get.
Yeah, there's going to be like caramel 40 or caramel 60, something
Sometimes
like that.
I find that the roasted barley can go into this like Guinness stout kind of has that ashy character. That's something I pick out a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's super pleasant, this beer.
Yeah, I feel like the flavors are really good. The one thing I worry is like maybe the carbonation isn't letting the flavors stand out as strongly as they could.
Yeah, I
But
hear you.
overall, like I can tell what's there, and I really like it. And I want the bubbles to go away and more flavor to come in.
Just shake it up.
I should have poured this one first.
If you
and set
just let it
aside.
sit for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No, seriously, it'll warm up.
I'm
and,
gonna let it
like,
sit.
Well, not now, but
I'm gonna give
No,
it.
we're all going to quietly wait.
I'm just saying. Like,
I need a new glass while this one warms.
Agitate it, blow off some of that carbonation and let it warm up. It'll probably be even better.
That-
Because
I-
it's on the cold side right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely more carbonated than I intended, and yeah, that has been like every person I've shared this beer with has said the same thing, like too much carbonation. So I totally agree.
That actually helped. I jostled the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
And it helped.
I just shake the bottles now,
But the
pour out a glass of foam.
the nose, like the aroma, is really good, and the flavors that I'm picking out of it, I really like.
Yeah, thank you. You know what's interesting is usually I've got 2 or 3 beers in my fridge, and I'll usually drink like the same beer back to back. But doing it this way, like I've never sat down at home and been like, yeah, I'm going to drink 8 beers all by myself right now.
Well,
So
trying a
having
range
these
of your
like
stuff, yeah.
one after the other, I'm like, oh, this beer actually does taste different than all the other beers.
I really think that's a good way to like sample beer too, like back to back with other beers that it lets you like reset your palate every time. So,
Right.
and tell me this is a low alcohol stout.
Yeah, it's like 5.1.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If you have any more of these, just shake them up and thumb over the thing. Just play some David Lee Roth music. And
No, you're right though. Even just like letting it sit and warming, shaking it around.
Yeah, even
like,
using your hands to warm
Yeah.
up the glass. It's it's like what, 3 ounces in there? Like it's enough to warm it up at least 5 or 6 degrees.
Just get a bunch of kittens. You can squirt it in their mouths as they're outside, like because it's a milk stout.
what the fuck?
Greg,
Dude, this is the shit I was really looking forward to.
Greg's
seen that
like,
picture of,
oh,
like-
there's a lot of ways to get a kitten drunk. Let me tell you a few.
You've seen the picture of like there's a bunch of kittens. There's somebody milking a cow and they're squirting the milk and they're all like, their mouths open.
I've
No,
never
you're-
seen
yeah,
this,
okay.
nor do I want to.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about either.
I don't hang out on those websites.
I'm pretty sure those are blocked by my provider.
Oh my god!
yeah, this is really good,
That
dude.
farm dating app.
What yeast was used in this?
Good question. I should have brought my laptop.
It's probably something basic.
I think it's White Labs 1028, which is going to be a London Ale. It's London
okay.
Ale 1. It's not London Ale 3 or like one of those juicy ones, but it's an English strain for sure. I know it's definitely English.
That's close.
I think it's
enough
1024
yeah.
or it's 002. It's one of those
1024 sounds like a Y yeast number. 002
10
sounds more like White Labs.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah. So it's either Y East 1024, 1028, something like that.
yeah.
Or it's WLP 002.
Okay.
Well
Well done.
Just
Well
before
done.
this beer, I had made a
stuff.
brown ale with coconut, and I used 002 in that one.
Okay.
That one did not turn out great, so you didn't miss anything.
Okay.
Coconut, for some reason, gets really like rancid. I think it's the oil content. Like
Yeah.
it turned out not good.
Yeah, I think you have to toast coconut.
I did.
Oh really?
Yeah. And dude, I had like a 1/4 inch of oil at the
It gets
top of my
oil, yeah.
fermenter. Yeah, it was not. I won't be doing that again.
I don't want to say this is the best beer so far, but it's one of my favorites. Like, really good. You killed it
yeah.
with this one.
What do we have here?
All right, so this beer, I did not tell my friend I was going to be bringing his beer, but a fellow homebrewer of mine went over to his place and we were having beer, talking, and he's like, "Hey, this is the one I just made." He turned it into some homebrew competition, so I'm sure he doesn't mind having it judged. But so if you like it, you're welcome. If you don't like it, just
We'll just cut the show.
tell
early.
Peter
Your
his beer
friend's a piece
sucks.
of shit.
Yeah, his beer sucks, and
You
he
should
sucks
stop
too.
brewing.
Yeah.
He should feel bad.
So what is this?
This is a West Coast IPA.
Okay.
I don't have many stats for you on it because I didn't brew it.
It's
But
awfully brown.
Looks 2010.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This looks like a Northwest IPA circa 10 years ago.
Yeah.
all right, I'll let him know that you guys hate him.
No, I don't hate him. I'm just judging him on the color. Yeah.
You're setting this up to fail, so I'm
No,
going hard.
No, I
Going hard with
had a
this guy.
bottle at his house, and I was like, yeah, it's good. I personally, I don't brew IPA because I can get so many good
Yeah.
commercial ones.
We live
you
in
know,
OC,
like,
man.
and I can't
But you
can't
could
do
save
better.
like $20.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It does
We're
have a good, like a piney hop aroma.
Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah, it's
feels
definitely
like an
piney.
old school approach to
That's 100%.
West Coast IPA.
I think it's really dialed in. It's definitely has that 2010 sort of IPA vibe.
Yeah.
I'm getting as much malt on the nose as I am hop, so I think it could probably use more hop aroma.
A little
Yeah,
more
and
dry hop.
And this beer's not old too. I think it's only like a month old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a well-crafted beer. I don't find any faults in it whatsoever.
Yeah, the aromas don't really jump out for me. which I think when it comes to homebrewing, IPA is one of the most difficult things to get, is like a really nice aromatic IPA.
Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with transferring and, keeping everything closed up, because I'm really bad at that. Like, especially when I would carbonate my homebrew, like I would do the quick, roll it around for a minute and let it sit. But then you have to like express all that gas out of the keg, and guess what's going out with that gas? All of your fucking hop aroma.
Yeah, some of it at least. Yeah.
I'd be curious to know what his final gravity was on this beer. It tastes a little under attenuated,
A little chewy.
I'm wondering if that's maybe just
Is it
like the amount
extract?
of caramel malt he used.
Was it all grain?
No, I think it's all grain.
It's got that kind of characteristic of extract where it's hard to get it really dry.
It's very, it has a very sweet undertone, like very caramelly undertone, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that it didn't attenuate out enough, or by design the recipe had a lot of non-fermentables in it, but it feels like there's a lot of residual sugar in the beer.
Yeah.
For my taste, I like a drier beer. I mean, I already damned it by looking at it being super. I mean, there's clearly
It's amber, right?
there's clearly caramel malt in here, right? It's really on the dark side.
Yeah,
for
it's
an
almost like
IPA.
a hoppy red.
Yeah.
At that point.
Or it's a roasted barley IPA.
It really comes off more as a hoppy red, like Greg said, than a West Coast IPA. I mean, if I'm being super honest about it, like calling this a West Coast IPA is just inaccurate because it's not bitter enough. It's hop flavor and aroma aside. I mean, yeah, it's also under attenuated, I think. But the bitterness should just be like doubled. I think you want a West Coast IPA to kind of punch you in the mouth, and
Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder, when you buy the like recipe kits and they're like West Coast IPA and there's like 3 ounces of hops in it for 5 gallons.
Been there.
That's kind of, I'm wondering if that's what this was, where they're like, oh yeah, we say it's West Coast IPA and 3 ounces of hops instead of half an ounce, but they're
Yeah.
It's all about what you interpret as West Coast IPA. And when I think of West Coast IPA, I think of like Stone Brewing Company, Green Flash, like in their heyday.
Green Flash was like the first thing that came to my mind when I was thinking about this. The color, it really reminds me of that sort of era.
Yeah.
need more bitter though to really get in
you
that
got
character.
That bite is the one thing. Like for me, if you're gonna do West Coast, East Coast, like that bite is what really classifies a West Coast to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like what Greg said, like an amber ale, a red ale kind of thing. And it's not a bad beer, but calling it a West Coast is just.
I'm not getting any of the like classic homebrew off flavors you're gonna get.
Right.
But like I said, it's either just a lot of unfermentables, or it didn't quite attenuate out to where it should have been.
It's probably a combination of both.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's getting all of his score sheets back from the BJCP right now, and yeah.
Watch, he wins a medal.
Well, that's the thing. Right?
What do these fucks know?
If you look at the BJCB guidelines from 2009, or
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know when the last time they updated it. Like, this is what it says in the IPA. Like, if you're brewing to that style.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yikes.
He actually won a gold medal at the California or the Los Angeles International Beer.
Where everyone wins a medal.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too inside, I guess, that one. But
Those are dope beers,
That's
though.
a private chat joke.
Really good beers, man.
laughing online.
Yeah,
Really appreciate you bringing
everything was really awesome.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys having me because I'm a bit of a fanboy. Like, I've been trying to play it cool, but I really enjoy the podcast.
Cool,
Like, it's
thanks,
really
man.
funny. You guys are doing something like unique in the space because most people are like, yeah, we're going to talk about these commercial beers now, and if someone talks out of turn, they edit that crap out, and it's like you guys are having fun talking beer, and it's just nice.
Cool.
Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Thanks,
Appreciate
dude.
that.
But we're not as sloppy as the really loose shows. We're just like, it is beer 45 and let's get fucking wrecked. Bring out the beer bomb, Jason.
You got cheap beer corner. Now you need high ABV corner, where
Oh.
you just drink the highest.
That's just going to be a mess.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Like,
the point.
That would be my show where I could just slur my way through everything.
Sloppy beer corner.
Yeah, sloppy beer corner. There you go. That sounds weird.
All I'm saying
We're
is
just
there's no way
sloppy.
there's no way that you can be deplatformed for butt chugging as long as you don't show the tube going up ends.
It's only implied.
Yeah, like they don't know what's going on.
Party
down
smells.
there.
Here they come.
Farty bathroom smells. Well, Eric, thanks for coming down, dude. These beers were all fantastic. Like, it sounds weird to say, but when a homebrewer like wants, you know how it is. Like, try my homebrew. It's like a 50-50. Like, it could be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
You're for how loose you are with your homebrewing and your whole philosophy behind homebrewing. You're making some pretty good stuff, man. And I'm gonna definitely try doing some like lagers fermented at 74 degrees because it seems to work.
100% inspiring me to get back into
Hot
it.
lager, check it and see.
Chicken of the sea.
Yeah, that's right. Got a fever of 103.
Oh,
So yeah, thanks
we
Eric
said
for coming
check it
down.
and see.
Appreciate it, dude.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
of course. Thanks, guys.